If you feel like you're bumping up against a wall trying to promote yourself on social media, you have to listen to today's episode. My guest today is Romaine Brown Palmer of the Executive Administrative Group, and she is sharing the secrets to prospecting for clients that are truly aligned with your vision as a virtual assistant. Her Grassroots method is so effective that for every 10 cold pitches she sends out, she gets 3 responses and 1 close. This is gold, y'all. Get ready to take some notes.
You're listening to the Support Squad podcast, where virtual assistants come together to share their best business tools and tips. Virtual assistant for life coaches Sharon Nissen created the Support Squad with a firm belief in community over competition. Whether you're a new virtual assistant looking for advice on how to get started, or an established virtual assistant looking to expand your skills and invite even more abundance into your career, you're in the right place. Working from home doesn't have to be lonely. We're in this together. Now, here she is, the host of the Support Squad podcast, Sharon Nissen.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Support Squad podcast. I can't believe that it's already July. The year is half over, and this is always a great time to reflect on your goals for the year and make sure you're on track with your progress. Sometimes mid-year like this, we need to adjust a little bit and make sure that we're still feeling aligned and good about where our business and our personal life is. And speaking of alignment in your business, I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest, Romaine Brown Palmer. Romaine is the founder of the Executive Administrative Group, and she's a virtual assistant coach. As a VA, she and her awesome team of 4 work with creatives, coaches, and solo entrepreneurs to help them manage and streamline their businesses through the power of delegation. Romaine launched her business to achieve the freedom she craved in her life. And then she launched her live training and coaching program, Launch Your Virtual Assistant Business in 90 Days, to help others achieve the same. When not making magic happen in other people's businesses, she spends her time with her husband and daughter as a professional weekender, enjoying all that South Florida has to offer. You guys, Romaine is a powerhouse. She is the real deal. And in today's episode, she's going to share her incredible launch story. Seriously, it gave me goosebumps. And she's also going to offer a plethora of creative prospecting ideas for when you're not really getting a lot of traction on social media and you want to find aligned, long-term clients for your business. You are going to fall in love with Romaine, and if you want to learn more from her, I'm excited to announce that she's also our guest expert in the Support Squad membership community this month. In her exclusive training, she's sharing 10 things that she wishes she knew in her first year as a virtual assistant. It's an amazing training for newbies, but it's also great for anyone that wants to up-level their business and feel like a true professional. I mean, I learned so much from her. You can still enroll and get instant access to that training and so much more at thesupportsquad.com. And now, without further ado, here she is. Hey, Romaine.
Hi.
How's it going?
I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you here. When we first on Instagram, you sent that sweet message to me during the midst of the launch of the membership community. And then it meant so much to me when I checked you out. I was like, oh, well, we have to have her on as an expert because she knows.
Girl, I felt you on a cellular level because I was, I go through launches too. We're on cycle 2 of my program. So it's just kind of like, I was just like, I feel that so hard.
I know. It's like the most exhilarating and at the same time most exhausting thing you can go through.
Literally the entrepreneur roller coaster, just like it says. It's like, this is great. Why did I do this?
Yes. So yeah, I'm so excited you're here and I'm so excited that we connected. And so to get it, I would love to know a little bit about you personally, because I always meet people like you on Instagram, but I would love to hear about you and your personal life with your family. What is like day-to-day life for you?
Okay. So there's a couple things. So I am So I'm an entrepreneur. I am a virtual assistant. I own a virtual assistant firm, but my background has always been in operations in one way or the other. So the first way was I actually started off in property management, which I feel like property management is virtual assistant boot camp, right?
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Because
Yeah.
if you ever want to learn about, dealing with multiple personalities, handling all different types of requests, go and work in property management for like a year. Then you can do anything. At that point, you can do anything. So I lived in New York for 10 years. I'm born and raised in Jamaica, moved to Florida, then moved to New York for 10 years, which is where the majority of my time in operations was. And I feel like that was the best investment that I ever had in myself, which was taking myself out of my environment and going somewhere where I knew no one, I knew nothing, and just kind of figuring life out is what made me who I am today, right? Because I kind of where I live in South Florida, you can kind of fall into a rut very easily and just keep doing the same thing, and time passes and you don't know what happened to time. So came back from New York. When I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. I have a 9-year-old daughter, so it's been a little over 9 years now. And when I got here, now in New York, as an admin, you can make anywhere from 50 to 100K, depending on where you fall. When I came back to Florida, that wasn't quite the case. I started working with the University of Miami. And, if you don't have any skin in the game there, first of all, they don't usually hire a lot of people from outside. But, once I got in relatively quickly, everyone told me that was like the fastest process. I quickly realized that I had outgrown necessarily wanting to work for anyone else. And so that's where the idea of becoming a virtual assistant came up for me. But I didn't actually launch the business until 4 years later, because, you get those tests like, oh, you say you want to start a business, shiny ball, here you go. So that I got recruited to work for a medical startup, which was great because I got the entrepreneurial side, but I also had the comfort of getting a paycheck. And then I went to work for some female CEOs and for managing their law firm. And that was an incredible experience. And they opened my eyes to personal development and business development. And from there, that's when I said, they were going through a transition and trying to figure out what was next for their business. And I kind of let them know that, I wanted to transition as well. And I was going to launch the company, and they actually became my first client.
That's amazing. I love that story. Such a journey you've been on.
It has been. The story actually of my launch, there's levels, right? It's actually pretty cooler than that. So
yeah, you told me you had like a really cool launch story. So I've been so excited to hear about that.
All right. So what happened was is the ladies took, as I mentioned, the ladies were like huge into personal development. So they took me to a women's success summit that used to happen every year here in Florida. And so they were huge into anyone that was on their management team. They wanted to make sure that they got coaching and, they worked on themselves. They were a huge believer in continuing education and training. So they took me to this event, and I'm sitting there, right? And, when you hear a speaker or if you're a church person, you're at church and you feel like, oh my goodness, they're talking about me, this is all about me.
Yes.
And you're getting hot in your seat. So there was a speaker who that brought that moment for me. It just kind of brought up like, what were the things that were holding you back from making those tough decisions and taking the chance on yourself. And so I'm sitting there, and she's talking and she's talking and she's talking, and I'm just like, I'm feeling hot. And it was like in that moment I made the decision, like, okay, I have to start my business.
Yeah.
So went back, I started putting, the wheels in motion, plastered my room and all my deadlines and everything, what I'm going to do every month. And then towards the time where I was just like, okay, I need to talk, my bosses were transitioning people out. And I was like, listen, don't transition anyone out, transition me out, and I can still work with you I have this business idea, and they were just so for it and supportive and amazing. To this day, I know I wouldn't be where I was if it weren't for those three ladies. So the cool part of the story was, so, they become my first client, another friend becomes my second client, and I start promoting myself, and I do this thing whenever I need a client. I go on Craigslist and I look at the ads, and I'm just like, this could be done remotely. And then I send them a really nice pitch. So there was this one pitch that was like this one ad that was just like, when I tell you, it was like speaking to my soul. I was like, I could do that. I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
I applied for it. I made my pitch like, you don't need to hire an admin. You can hire a virtual assistant, and this is what I can do, blah, blah, blah. And it was blind at first.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it came back, I looked at the name and I was just like, no, it was the lady that I had. It was the speaker that had inspired.
Oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps.
And
that
so
is wild.
Right? So we go through the process, and I tell her, and she's like, what? And I'm like, yes. And so we go through the whole process, and she has her own process on the side where she's like, just because this happens doesn't mean I can't hire her. But of course I go ahead and I blow it out the water like nobody else even had a chance.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I was like, this was meant for me. And she's been a client for 5 years now. We've been together for all these 5 years that I've been in business. And that's just been like, that was the catalyst. And it was crazy.
That is like one of those moments where you're like, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I'm in the right place. Everything's like aligning. That is so cool.
Right? So I was like, I think I have like the coolest launch story.
Yes. So the other big takeaway that I'm hearing when I'm listening to this is you are using a method of prospecting that I haven't heard of much, which is going on Craigslist and then people in that way. So
Yeah.
what do you have any tips for how to be successful utilizing a strategy like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I do 3 things, right? So there's 3 things that I typically do. I think because of the new age that we're in, people are tending to be like, oh, go into Facebook groups, which I'm all for all of those. Go in Facebook groups, introduce yourself, be from a place of service. But I can tell you from my experience that, especially in the beginning as a virtual assistant, you can prospect the people that are in your community, and those can become your first clients, but those may not be your ideal clients, right? So, and I teach this in my course as well, the first thing that I want you to do is to identify who are the people that you really want to serve. So what I encourage the ladies to do is look into your background. Have you ever had an experience where you're just like, man, I really enjoy working with this person, or I really enjoy working with this department? Because a lot of us are administrators, and we come back and we're kind of like the octopus in the office where we have our finger in everything. So if you notice that whenever you had projects for the marketing department, that's who you enjoyed working with, that usually indicates that you like working with people who are in ideation, in marketing, who are creatives. So once you have your niches set, then I do grassroots marketing. Like I will say, okay, I'm going to go on Craigslist, and I'm going to go through the admin section, and I'm going to set the Craigslist to part-time, because usually those who are more open to hiring a virtual assistant don't need full-time support. Right. So I'll set it to part-time, and then I will literally go through and see if there's opportunity for me to present my services. So then I write them this amazing letter that basically lists all the reasons they should work with me, and a link to my Calendly. So it's just like, you should work with a company like mine because we're US based, we're this, we're that, we're project managers, you can grow organically, and you don't have to worry about, all the benefits of why you would work with a virtual assistant. Mm-hmm. And so I send that off, and I think my record is, if I send off 10, I get at least 3 Calendly. I get 3 conversations. And
I can totally
yeah, of those 3 conversations, I can definitely close 1. So if I'm ever in a position where I haven't gotten a referral from clients, where now I'm at the point where my business is almost 100% referral based. So, it's really just about showing up and being amazing.
Yes.
But if I ever get to that point, those are the things that I use. One of the other areas that I do is event logistics. I will literally look for all the event managers in the area, because I don't want to do the event. I don't want to plan the event. I don't want to show up at the event. I don't want nothing else to do with the event. Yeah. All the backseat stuff for the event. So I will reach out. I will create a letter and a marketing campaign specifically. I'll go to Google and I'll start event specialists, event managers in Florida. And you get your whole list of people, and I will put together my little email campaign, and I will blast them with, here's an attachment of my pricing, just, a breakdown, like if you want this kind of support, if it's up to 100 people, this kind of event, and here's how you can contact me. And every single time I do it, if I send out 10, I get 3, I close 1.
That's amazing. The other thing that I love about this strategy is that you're totally introducing people to the idea of virtual assistants that might not know about it. Mm-hmm. So you're like opening the doors for like so many people.
I am.
Yes, and expanding our industry in this amazing way. And I love that you call it grassroots, because that's totally what it is. You're like the boots on the ground, opening doors for other virtual assistants and like getting clients. That is brilliant.
I love it. And then another thing that I feel like people are stepping too far away from. So if we do, I also do, there's something about, even though we're virtual assistants, there's something about meeting someone face to face.
Oh,
I will go and I will here in Florida, what's huge is this thing called BNI, which is networking. And it's like all across the country. And I will literally post on my LinkedIn, does anyone need someone to cover for them for BNI this week? So I don't have to make the investment in BNI because I don't need that volume of clients. However, if I go to a BNI event, when you go and you cover for someone, you do their pitch, and then you are also allowed to do your pitch.
Oh, wow.
So I do my pitch, and then people are like, what? I'm like, I'm here for you. So here for you. And people with my business card get their business card, and I do a wicked follow-up.
You are just delivering solid gold right now. These are such good tips that are so outside the box from what we hear all the time, which is, like you said, like posting in Facebook groups. And I've been telling a lot of the people in my community lately, like, sure, you can go on Facebook groups, but you also got to like think outside the box a little bit. If you're hitting your head against the wall in Facebook groups or on social media, like go outside, like even outside of the virtual world, talk to people in person and try different things. You don't not the same strategy will work for every person.
Yeah. So like I 100% agree with that, because this is the thing. Social media is fickle. Instagram could decide today that they're going to sell to a company, and the company is like, this is no longer allowed. Or Facebook could just disappear tomorrow or crash, and then what? Your business and the way to produce business goes along with it. So I'm a big proponent of, do your homework, do your own work, find people in your community. Like there's something, another thing that I did was I love working with coaches. And so there's a bunch of coaching registries. Go on to coaching registries, all their contact information is listed there. Reach out to them like, hey, if you don't happen to have virtual support, because the coaching industry actually is probably like one of the main reasons we even have virtual assistants.
Oh, sure. All of my clients are coaches.
Exactly. Yes. So with that industry booming, there's opportunity. Yeah. And so it's kind of like if you place yourself in front of them, there's this lady who, and also not forgetting the people that you've had conversations with who either it wasn't the right time, maybe it wasn't the right price point. I follow up with them every September. Like, hey, I know it wasn't the right time last year, or hey, is this the summer we get to work together? It's just remembering to dive back or add value to people. So I will, I always look for, when I'm talking to people, discovering their pain points. And in my follow-up conversations with them, like if I went to a BNI, I'll be like, oh, hey, by the way, you mentioned that you were having a problem with your templates. Here's a quick fix for that. So it's like before we've even engaged, I've already planted a seed in them that I'm capable and able to take care of them at a higher level.
I love that. You are brilliant. I knew we connected for a reason. So amazing. So much good stuff there. So thank you for sharing all of that wisdom. And so the other thing I wanted to know about, I know you have a team of 4.
Yes.
So I want to know a little bit about your team and what that looks like for you.
Okay, perfect. So I have a team of 4. 2 are part-time on retainer and 2 are full-time with me. So how I just define how, when I was expanding my team, at first it was just very organic. I'm working 7 days a week, I need help. But then as I got to the point where it's comfortable and I was just like, okay, how am I going to grow the company? Then I can make strategic decisions. So I know that for every team member that I add, I can add about $10,000 in revenue to my business, because each person carries about, not even 10,000, like 5,000, 5 to 6,000, because each person carries a caseload of about 4. Now I happen to work on a retainer model. So I have to look at my retainer model, the hours, everything, and make sure that it all balances. But my team is amazing. I have 1 generalist on my team who I'm telling you can throw anything at her and she will figure it out. She comes from an industry where everything was very linear, but the way her brain works is if you teach her something, she will knock it out and take it to the finish line. Love, love, love her. I also have a project manager / high-level executive assistant who, again, same thing. You teach her once and that's it. Now, both of these ladies did not come from the virtual assistant world. They came from traditional admin, or one of them came from like human resources for in a scholastic atmosphere. But they were definitely ready for a change. And one of the things I speak to when you're hiring people, especially when you're a small business, you have to make the perks worth it. Like, it has to be worth it. So for me, when working with my team, I make sure that, as much as possible, I am the super awesome, positive boss. I don't like calling myself that. Like, I'm in the trenches with them. I lead from the front. Right. And then also making sure that on a personal level, like we're speaking the same language, which is one of the things I'm going to talk about today, is just kind of like you have to know yourself and make sure that your team is filling the gaps where you are lacking, right? I'm a big proponent of the DISC profile. I'm a super high D, super high D. And what that can mean for me is I will talk all day, and if you let me, or I will be just like, this is what we got to do, boom, 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 here you go, here's your list, bye. So I know that I need someone who will fill in the gaps because I'll miss stuff. And so that's very important for me to be able to make a well-rounded team. And, just grow organically that way. So my team's been amazing. It's 4 of us. All of us now, for the summer, the ladies who work, I have an office space. I'm in my office now. For those of us who typically work from the office, everyone's working from home for the summer. Perk, mood, work from home. And then and then I have some other team members who they're 100% from home, and we check in, we talk on Slack, we send jokes, and we collaborate with clients. I can keep my eye on everything because of Slack. And also Asana is huge.
Yes. On all my most successful teams that I work with clients, it's always a combination of Slack and Asana. So, yeah.
Please tell that. Like, Slack and Asana equals you win.
Yes. So, yes, like you said, you're wearing your Mood Work From Home shirt. And I wanted to ask you about this because I know you have this line of merch specifically for virtual assistants. Like, we see so much stuff out there for on. So cool to see that you have all these t-shirts and stuff just for VAs. So tell us a little bit about that project.
So literally that came from, so on Memorial Day, I'm a big concert goer. We went out concert, we blew it out, we had fun, but we actually had Memorial Day off. And I'm sitting there, and I'm the type of person, if I'm sitting there and I'm bored, something's going to come. So I was just sitting there, I was like, what would be great? And I think you can also blame Marie Kondo because
yes, I can blame her for a lot of things in my life.
So I'm just like looking at all my clothes, and it's like I'm so sick of trying to figure out what to wear every day. So I was just like, oh, and then at the same time, Zazzle had like a Memorial Day sale. So it's like, oh, you know, it'd be awesome if I just made some t-shirts for myself.
Yeah.
They said funny things, and then I would just choose from my like 10 t-shirts. So I went on Canva, I made the designs, uploaded them, and then, you know, they came within a week, and I started wearing them, and people were like, where did you get that? I want that shirt. Oh my God, where did you get that? So I was just like, oh, you know what? There's a need. And I'm always looking for pockets of where things are missing. Yes. I feel like there's excellent people giving education. There's excellent people doing it. But I look for pockets that are missing. And I noticed, I went online and I looked for virtual assistant shirts. There's like nothing.
There's not. You can find like admin assistant or like just general entrepreneur, but not VA stuff. So I love that. Yeah.
So the line is specifically for virtual assistants, virtual project managers, online business managers, and digital entrepreneurs, because I'm a firm believer in being a digital nomad. I'm going to Jamaica this summer to work.
Yes, love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
So I made lines. And so now if you go to blackshirtwhiteletters.com, because it's always going to just be simple black shirts with really dope quotes and images. They're blackshirtwhiteletters.com, and you can check out everything that's there. And I will make a discount code for your ladies.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. We'll put that link and the code in the show notes for everybody.
I will. Perfect. Yeah. So I will do that for your ladies so that you get 20% off anything that they order.
Awesome. I know everyone will be excited about that. So you guys make sure to check those shirts out because they are so cute. And yeah, black shirts, white letters. And they just say, they just have awesome stuff that will apply to any virtual assistant. So I love that.
We came up with a computer love. Cool. I did a computer love one and everybody's like, can I get that too? Yeah, there were so many cute ones. And I love that you have it like with your blazer right now. It's like, yeah, so you can dress it up. You're going to a meeting. You just, you're like, there's the one that I'm going to launch this week, literally just as virtual assistant, because a lot of them are conversation starters. And then I'll have stickers that you put on your laptop. So when you're working from the coffee shop or anything, it can spark conversation. That was another big tip that I did when I first started my business is I ordered laptop skins that advertised my business, and I would work from the coffee shop.
Oh my gosh, that's so brilliant. I always tell people to network in coffee shops because I'm like, you can be in Facebook groups all day and there's like a billion virtual assistants in there, but I don't think there's going to be like a million virtual assistants at like the local coffee shop on a Saturday.
I got my first $4,000 a month retainer from a coffee shop.
Yes, I love that.
And he was literally, because he was like reading my skin and being like, what's a virtual assistant? What is an administrative consultant? And I told him, he's like, I need that. His business had been sitting there for 6 months with no traction. And within a month, I had his whole system set up, inventory, everything done. He was just like, where have you been all my life?
Brilliant. I love that. Cool. So the last question I have for you before we go is, as a digital nomad or a remote worker, a virtual assistant, where is your favorite place to work or the coolest place you've ever worked?
So the coolest place I've worked to date would be Bimini. Bimini was dope.
I don't even know if I know what that is.
Bimini is a tiny island in the Bahamas. It literally is owned by Hilton. The water is so blue that it looks unreal.
Yeah.
And so for spring break this year, I didn't want to have my daughter sit at home and do nothing. So I said, I have to work, but we can hop on a ferry from where I live in Florida. It's like a 2-hour ferry ride.
Oh, amazing.
So we hopped over and we spent a week in Bimini and I worked from there. My best friend joined us and she worked from there. She's an online counselor. And she's also doing her master's. So it's like she had homework to do and all that stuff. And we worked from there and we worked 9 to 5. And then as soon as 5 o'clock hit, we closed down the laptops and head down to the beach and then had dinner on the beach and, worked off the balcony. The Wi-Fi was amazing. As long as there's Wi-Fi, we can work.
Exactly.
And as I mentioned, this summer I'm working from Jamaica for 3 weeks. So that's also going to be huge. I think that's going to, but here in Florida, my favorite place to work is actually my office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've set it up pretty sweet.
That's where you are right now. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, this is my office. This is the conference room. And so there's like 6 other businesses in here. I originally, when I started my business, I worked from home, but then I quickly realized my eye from my disc profile was starving for some like interaction with people. So that's when I started working from the coffee shops. And then I discovered this virtual office space where you can rent an office for like $500. And I was like, that's so worth the investment for me to have a quiet space to be able to do things like that. And you get unlimited conference room access. So
that's amazing. Yeah. That's a great thing. Cool. So, of course, you are our featured mentor in the Support Squad membership community this month. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about what you're going to be sharing in your training with our members this month.
Absolutely. So I think one of the biggest things when you step into the world and say, okay, I'm going to make an impact and teach and help people and bring people up. I'm a big proponent of like, let it be easier for the next person, right? It's not about, providing them with everything. I do believe you have to learn your way up. However, if I can help save you from, that a lot of the first year hiccups that I had, I will absolutely do that. And even if it's just planting the seeds so that you're aware when those things are happening. So I will be teaching everything that I wish I knew in my first year as a virtual assistant. That's going to be huge. I have the outline ready.
I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Based on what I've heard from you today, I can only imagine the value that's going to be in your training. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your story, all of your amazing tips with us today, Romaine. And can you really quickly tell us where we can connect with you and where we can find you online?
Absolutely. So I have 50 million accounts. No, I'm just kidding. You can find me on my personal page at Romaine B. Palmer, Romaine spelled just like the lettuce. For my business page, it's at The Executive Admins. On my merch page, it's at Black Shirt, White Letters. And that's how you can find me online. And same thing on Facebook. If you just search the same Romaine Brown Palmer, The Executive Admins, and also Black Shirt, White Letters, I will pop up. Those are my companies.
Awesome. All those links will be for you guys in the show notes at thesupportsquad.com. So you can head over there and find everywhere that Romaine is online. So thank you so much, Romaine. And I'm looking forward to your training. Thank you. Wow, you guys, there was so much good information in that interview. I mean, how amazing is Romaine? So as promised, she has a special code for Support Squad listeners to get 20% off her amazing t-shirts for virtual assistants. Just use code SQUADLOVE, all one word, at blackshirtwhiteletters.com. And you can access her exclusive training in our membership community when you enroll at thesupportsquad.com. This month, you'll also get part 1 of my Ultimate Launch Guide ebook, a Trello training to learn how to create a production calendar that you can use with clients and for your own business, and of course, our live coaching calls and all the other membership perks. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. Until next time, Boss Babe.